It's an awful lot of debate for money that isn't even ours. And as lawmakers push the deadline, it meant for plenty of drama on Capitol Hill.
And in the end, the debt law was contentious compromise for sure. Tonight, we hear from two local congressmen whose votes actually canceled each other out as they defend their debt decision. It was the scene for mudslinging leading up to the historic debt deal vote. But Tuesday was a quieter day on Capitol Hill as local representatives defended their positions back in their districts.
And I have to tell you, Washington doesn't get it.
Congressman Paul Tonko is clearly frustrated and fed up. The Democrat from Amsterdam was among those who voted against the plan, calling it way too generous for the wealthiest of Americans.
Why do millionaires and billionaires in the deep pockets of oil companies have a place at the table, but there's no room for America's middle class?
We had to reach an agreement to avert the crisis.
Back at his home in Kinderhook, Republican Congressman Chris Gibson said the deal was far from ideal. He's relieved it's now a done deal.
It was informed by the principles of cut, cap, and balance, which I think are really just fundamentally important for us to restore fiscal responsibility.
Essentially, he thinks the plan is the best bet to move forward and start balancing the budget. The historic vote also marks one of the most contentious debates between parties in a decade. Congressman Tonko wholeheartedly believes there was a design to stall and play games with the administration from the Republican end.
We manufactured a crisis with the default. We're in such tough times that our goal ought to be to build up a nation rather than bring down a president.
Representative Gibson, who says he makes a point to choose his words carefully, called it hard-fought compromise.
We're getting to the point where we got an agreement on, once again, the day before potential economic disaster. Look, that's not where we want to be, but I would tell you I wouldn't trade our constitutional design.
Now, one thing both men can agree on is that it is time Congress focus on creating jobs. But there was little agreement between two groups of protesters who rallied outside Congressman Gibson's Saratoga Springs office today. One side saying the cuts are a good start, the other group fearing the cuts will be painful. They're worried about money will get cut from Social Security and Medicare.
And these cuts, they're not cuts. They're just a reduction in the rate of growth.
You know why it's called entitlements? We're entitled to them because our tax dollars as working people have gone in to build up those systems. Social Security has nothing to do with this deficit.
So heated on both sides, and people from both sides of this protest saying more debate is needed.
Congress has provided the Social Security Administration with $1 billion less than the president had requested in his budget. And that means Social Security will be closing offices a half hour early now, starting on the 15th. Employees will need to work their regular hours each weekday, but closing the offices earlier will allow them to meet with consumers without incurring any overtime.